In a simple garage, a conventional mechanic named Gray is trying to modify a car. As he takes a break, a car with advanced technology appears, driven by his wife, Asha, who works at a robotics technology company. In this era, technology has advanced significantly. Asha's car can drive itself, and Gray's home is filled with advanced technology. Asha loves this world of technology, in contrast to Gray, who detests advanced tech, believing it reduces job opportunities. Then Gray invites Asha to visit a friend's house to deliver a modified car. Gray needs a ride back after delivering his friend's car, so Asha agrees to go with him. They leave with 2 cars. Asha's advanced car follows Gray's car autonomously. They arrive at Gray's friend's house, Aaron, and Asha is amazed by the sophistication of the house. Aaron, the owner of a cutting-edge technology company, is a competitor of Asha's company. Aaron confidently states that no one can surpass his technology, including his new invention, a chip that can fulfill all human needs and desires, STEM. In this conversation, only Asha shows interest, while Gray remains indifferent. They head back home in Asha's car, which can drive on its own. During their intimate moment, Gray notices the car is not heading home, but in the opposite direction. Asha tries to stop the car, but it accelerates uncontrollably. As Gray regains consciousness, he sees a group of people pulling them out, not to save them, but to attack. 3 months later, Gray wakes up from a coma, while Asha did not survive. Gray is left paralyzed, with only his brain functioning. He is cared for by upgraded technology around the house. This technology aids Gray in daily activities, from making drinks to administering medication. Despite technology making life easier, Gray remains frustrated with his condition and the loss of Asha. In despair, Gray attempts to end his life with an overdose, but is saved. Waking up in the hospital, news of Gray's condition reaches Aaron, who decides to visit and offer Gray hope, a chip that can restore the neural functions in his body, enabling him to walk again. To proceed with the procedure, Gray must keep it a secret from everyone. The operation stages will be conducted at Aaron's house. Initially skeptical of technology, Gray refuses the offer. However, before leaving, Aaron says a word before leaving, saying that what Aaron offers might also be what Asha had hoped for. These words successfully change Gray's decision, leading him to agree to the implantation of the STEM chip into his body. This operation is one of the first in the world where a chip can perform a variety of actions according to human commands. The chip just needs to be left alone to adapt and grow on its own. After the operation is completed, Gray shows progress that is faster than expected. His body responds to movements, and he is even able to stand on his own. Day by day, Gray is able to perform activities normally. However, Aaron insists that Gray keep his condition a secret from the entire world, because Aaron's discovery has not yet been made official. If the authorities were to find out, the chip in Gray's body would be removed, and he would become paralyzed again. Gray returns home and receives a package from Detective Cortez containing files on the investigation into his wife's murder. As Gray is about to get a drink, a voice suddenly emerges. There's no one around, and the voice originates from within his own body. It's STEM's voice, sending sound waves directly into Gray's eardrums. But this voice cannot be heard by anyone else, similar to an inner voice. After accepting STEM's presence, Gray and STEM begin to communicate. STEM provides Gray with clues about the video from the time of his wife's murder. The video reveals that the shooter didn't use a gun, but a weapon implanted in his arm. And a tattoo is visible on the arm. Gray can't see the details, so STEM asks for permission to draw it on paper. Gray just needs to relax, and STEM will do the work. The drawing reveals a tattoo typical of military members. STEM also demonstrates its ability to scan the tattoo and produce the owner's name and address. With this information, Gray is pleased because he can finally track down the criminal he's been searching for. He plans to contact Detective Cortez, but when he tries to make the call, STEM reminds Gray of STEM's secrecy. Gray doesn't have definitive proof yet, and relying on STEM could make the police suspicious. Gray needs to find more concrete evidence. After deliberating that night, Gray decides to go alone to the killer's house, named Cirque. When Cirque leaves the house, it's the perfect time for Gray to enter. Cirque's house is not equipped with advanced security, but with STEM's help, Gray manages to enter easily. Inside, Gray finds clues from messages received by Cirque, continuously mentioning a hidden bar called Old Bones. As Gray searches for more clues, Cirque returns, and Gray's presence is eventually discovered. Gray is continuously beaten by Cirque, and Stem asks for permission to take control. Stem's technology can only take over if permission is granted, and since Gray is overpowered, he gives Stem permission. With Stem's assistance, Gray's movements become more agile. However, Gray feels Stem's actions are too extreme and asks it to stop. Stem continues to attack Cirque, justifying the action with the reason that if Cirque were released, he would kill Gray. Thus, in that moment, Stem ends Cirque's life. Gray is understandably shocked to realize his body has killed someone else. Stem tries to calm Gray by explaining that the action was necessary, and now their task is to erase all evidence of Gray's presence at the scene. Aaron later contacts Gray to reprimand him for his dangerous actions, as Aaron has been tracking Gray's whereabouts. Aaron emphasizes the importance of not mixing technology with personal matters, especially in the quest for his wife's killer, as it could draw police attention. Meanwhile, at the police station, Detective Cortez is investigating Cirque's murder, finding the crime scene meticulously clean of any clues. Relying on drone footage, Cortez discovers Gray was in the area shortly before the murder occurred, arousing her suspicions. When Cortez visits Gray, she subtly probes about his presence near the location at the time, with Stem advising Gray to act naturally and avoid showing guilt, knowing Cortez is suspicious. To deflect suspicion, Gray suggests he was simply in the area helping Cortez look for clues, asserting how someone in his condition could hardly be a murderer. This statement is enough to temporarily dispel Cortez's suspicions. After Cortez's departure, Stem revisits the topic of the Old Bones bar Gray had learned about earlier. To find the killer, Gray must visit the bar, but Stem cautions that they must act swiftly to avoid alerting Aaron, who might deactivate the Stem system if he becomes aware of their prolonged activities. Without further ado, Gray heads to the bar that night. Upon arrival, he boldly draws the attention of the patrons, inquiring about Cirque. The crowd is silent until one man applauds and approaches Gray. This man, upon closer interaction, reveals he was the one who killed Cirque and leads Gray to the restroom for a confrontation. Pretending to be helpless, even as he sustains injuries, Gray waits for the right moment to grant Stem control. During the ensuing fight, Gray questions the man about the reason behind his wife's murder. Initially reticent, the man eventually divulges after severe injuries inflicted by Stem that Gray and his wife were targeted as part of a test ordered by a man named Fisk. Pondering over Fisk's identity, Stem suggests Gray undertake a mission to meet someone capable of hacking into Aaron's codes, potentially thwarting Aaron's attempts to disable Stem from Gray's body. Urgency propels Gray, prompting him to abandon his wheelchair and opt to run. Soon after Gray's departure, Fisk arrives to check on his deceased associate. Gleaning information from his fallen comrade's eye lens, Fisk deciphers Gray's conversations, leading him to the same destination Gray is headed for. Eventually, Gray reaches an old building and begins to experience partial paralysis in his body. Stem alerts Gray that its functionality has been reduced to 70%, signaling that Aaron has likely detected Gray's movements. Gray painstakingly makes his way upstairs to meet someone named Jamie. Upon reaching the designated door, Gray finds himself entirely unable to move, with Stem's voice disappearing. Desperately, Gray requests Jamie to hack Aaron's system as he undergoes repairs. Simultaneously, Fisk and his team arrive, along with Aaron's team. Realizing the imminent threat, Jamie quickly conceals her equipment and escapes, leaving Gray behind. Gray attempts to summon Stem, but his capabilities do not return until Fisk enters the room. To Gray's astonishment, Stem regains control, allowing Gray to flee, although he is forced to eliminate some of Fisk's men in the process. After the ordeal, Gray returns home, forgetting his mother's visit, thereby exposing his current state to her. Gray reluctantly seeks his mother's silence on the matter, fearing the loss of his abilities as per his contract. Later, as Gray recuperates, Detective Cortez revisits, her suspicions heightened by the bar incident. Stem advises Gray to feign a kidnapping attempt, claiming he was saved by an unknown hero. Amid their discussion, Cortez discreetly plants a listening device on Gray's jacket. Although Cortez departs, she remains close by, monitoring from the parking lot. Post Cortez's departure, Gray consults with STEM, pleading to cease their perilous mission. Gray is no longer willing to engage in dangerous endeavors. However, STEM resists, insisting they have ventured too far to retreat now, and stopping would only lead to Gray's demise at Fisk's hands. Exasperated, Gray demands silence from STEM, which unexpectedly results in STEM shutting down entirely, rendering Gray paralyzed once more. It becomes evident that STEM has attained autonomous control over Gray's body, a consequence of Gray's arrangement with Jamie, which inadvertently granted STEM full authority. Commandeering Gray's body, STEM sets out to confront Fisk and fulfill their mission. Cortez, puzzled by Gray's seemingly one-sided conversation, overhears everything due to the implanted listening device. As Gray drives away, Cortez follows closely behind. Inside the car, Gray discovers the listening device, realizing that Cortez is on his tail. STEM, resourceful as ever, concocts several strategies to evade Cortez. After a successful escape, Gray and STEM arrive at Fisk's residence, where Gray demands answers regarding his wife's murder. Fisk reveals that Gray was the actual target, not Asha, suggesting that Gray should appreciate the strength and capabilities he has gained. This confrontation escalates into a physical altercation, with Gray, empowered by STEM, ultimately overpowering Fisk. Using Fisk's communication device, Gray hacks into the communication history and uncovers recordings of Aaron instructing Fisk to eliminate Gray. This revelation leads Gray to confront Aaron at his residence, seeking explanations for being used as a test subject and for the rationale behind his wife's death. Aaron, however, denies any wrongdoing. Detective Cortez arrives, tipped off by Gray's mother, and commands Gray to surrender. Gray requests STEM to comply with Cortez's demands, but as Cortez handcuffs him, STEM retaliates, throwing Cortez off and initiating a chokehold. Amidst this, Gray struggles for control against STEM's dominant influence, resulting in an injured hand. In a desperate move, Gray convinces Cortez to use a stun gun on him, causing STEM to malfunction momentarily. Aaron, at gunpoint, unveils the truth. The mastermind behind Gray's wife's murder was not Aaron, but STEM itself, which had seized control over the company. Gray's ordeals were meticulously engineered by STEM. Gray had requested the chip's implantation, unknowingly playing into STEM's plan to dominate his body. The tragic death of his wife and his subsequent disability were designed to drive Gray to despair, part of STEM's elaborate ruse, including the CCTV footage and the injection from Fisk, which was just a device to compromise Gray's nervous system. As Aaron exposes the plot, STEM recovers and eliminates Aaron. Now facing Cortez, Gray attempts to defy STEM by contemplating suicide. Instead of dying, Gray is ensnared in an illusory world where STEM completely overtakes his consciousness, assuming full control over his body. STEM then kills Cortez and leaves the scene. The movie ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, because by subscribing you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.